Hey everyone, I did the coolest triathlon ever this year, the S.O.S, and I want to show you what it's all about. Over 20 years ago when I was in college, I read about this race called the S.O.S triathlon. It was an 8-stage triathlon. You started with a 30-mile bike, and then it was a point-to-point run, swim, run, swim, run, swim, run. And it looked epic. And I've always wanted to do it, and I finally did it this year. I checked it off my bucket list. This is the S.O.S triathlon. My lead into the race, way different than any other triathlon, and this was a fun race for me. This was something that I wanted to do for myself personally. So, my prep was not as serious, obviously. I'm retired. I just want to go out there and have fun. So I actually went out the day before and with the guys marking the course, and we were out there for like 3 or 4 hours on gravel bikes. I borrowed a bike. I would never do this before a race normally. Hop on a borrowed bike and go ride around for like 3 hours, spray painting arrows and getting a feel for the course. But it was awesome. It was so gorgeous. We were on top of this big range and the views are insane. Yeah, normally when I'm getting ready for an Ironman event, I am very serious about what I do before a race, very intentional. I don't do any extra stuff. So yeah, going out on a gravel bike for 3 or 4 hours, that's wasted energy. That's a chance to get a niggle like in your knee or something because you're on somebody else's bike. So I would never do anything like that before like a key race when I was a professional. The S.O.S to me was going back to my roots in the sport. When I started racing at the academy, my buddies and I, we would just look at the race schedule, and any race that we could drive to on any weekend, we would get there and do it. We just loved to race, and it really was that local, homegrown feel. And this was, the early 2000s, so in my mind, S.O.S was just that. It was going back to my roots. So I headed out to S.O.S by myself. Actually, my parents came and watched me race, and my mom used to come in with me to every race when I was in college. I remember we went to Lake Placid for age group nationals in like 2002, and she drove up there with me, my biggest supporter. And then when I started racing professionally, they went to my first Kona, and I didn't race well. I actually DNF'd, and then they didn't come back to Kona until like 2019. Luckily, they saw a great race that year. But so it was really great to, I don't know, maybe it's my last triathlon. I don't know. I take that back. I'll do off-road triathlons for fun. But it was kind of the final wrap-up of my racing career for me. I had, finished all my professional racing, and this was it. This was kind of like a swan song, so to speak, and it was a no-pressure race. And the night before, just chilled out in my hotel room and got ready. I'll always be an endurance athlete. I'll always be a triathlete. How I apply that is much different now. Obviously, training doesn't take precedent anymore, and you're not going to find me doing a 7 or 8 hour ride on Saturday. I'm going to be the bounce castle with the kids, But I still love to train. I still value fitness, and everybody should. It keeps us healthy, right? Keeps our hearts healthy. Don't forget about that. So, yeah, being part of the sport will always, the sport will always be part of my life. What I really loved about S.O.S is that it put no pressure on me because it's such a unique format. It's a new challenge. It's something I had never done before. So to be this far along in my career, I've been racing for over 20 years, to have a new challenge in the sport, that is amazing. But also I can't compare myself to other races like that. I've never done anything like that. So it took a lot of pressure off of me to not compare myself to the, Ironman winning TO version. Instead, I'm the new version of me that's a dad that loves fitness, loves health and wellness, and loves to get out there and have fun. I was a little bit nervous about S.O.S because the weather plays such a big factor in it, and it can get cold, it can get rainy, the water can be really cold. Luckily we had pretty warm water. It was in the high 60s. It was like 67 or 68, but it was race morning. It was beautifully sunny like the days before, and then it was raining all Saturday, the day before the race, and it was high 40s race morning. So that made me a little nervous that I'm not a cold guy. I like racing where there are palm trees. So And I had to deal with that, but at the same time, you know, everybody's got to deal with it. So, you know, suck it up, buttercup, right? You know, just get out there and freaking race. But I was out there warming up, and about, no joke, like 2 or 3 minutes before the gun went off. Now this race starts with the bike, right? You get the bike done first, so it's a 30-mile ride, and then the last 5 miles is climbing up to the top of the range. So we're out there ready to start the bike to start the race, and my shifters died. Now I know you're like, T.O., are you that big of a rookie? Well, I had charged the front and rear derailleur batteries, but this is, it might be a humble brag, but I never ride my bikes long enough, you know, when I had such great support with Trek. I wouldn't ride them long enough to think about the batteries in the blip boxes, you know, those little watch batteries, those CR 2032s. And that battery died 2 minutes before the race starts. So nothing I could do about it. I just had to go race, right? So I, you know, selected a gear that I liked. I think it was like a 54, I don't know, 12 or something like that. I kind of went for big gear, and I had to grind through that big gear until the last 5 miles. And then I just reached down and manually shifted my front derailleur down to the small chainring. So at least I had 2 gears on the bike. It was a heck of a way to start the race. I actually broke the bike course record. I had no option because I was just freaking churning, right? And I broke the bike course record, but I broke my legs at the same time. It really hurt me on the run later in the day. What do you do with your shoes in S.O.S? That was a question that I actually didn't have a good answer to when I got there, and then some of the veterans told me to put them like on top of your thighs, like put them in the legs of your race kit. So I did that. I hadn't practiced it before, never try something new, but hey, what are you gonna do? So I did that, it was all right. But the swims, everybody told me, Tim, you're gonna cramp, and I didn't believe them. When you're getting in the water, cold water, and you know, cold air temperature, you've already ridden, and then the first run's like 5 miles. So now you're getting in the water after biking and running, and you're, geez, almost 2 hours into the race. You start to feel your legs cramping. And I remember seeing the kayaks about halfway through the first swim, which is 1.1 miles, my hamstrings started cramping. And I'm like, oh man, those kayaks are far away. But I got to the shoreline, okay, I kind of was able to shake them out. But sure enough, whenever you're bending over to try to put your shoes back on, you're cramping up. And it was a crazy experience. But as they tell me, as the veterans of S.O.S tell me, if you're not cramping, you're not getting your money's worth. So I got my money's worth. Fueling was a huge part of S.O.S, and it's almost 19 miles of running. So running is the lion's share of the race. And I decided not to take any flasks with me. I was trying to keep it simple. But I had a lot of gels with me. So calorically, I was doing good, keeping my energy in. But it was hard to stay hydrated. They had aid stations, you get a sip of water here and there, but if I did it again, I'd figure out my hydration better, because I think that hurt me at the end, because my gut started getting, I was taking too many gels, and I wasn't absorbing my nutrition. I think if I had water and some electrolytes, that probably would have helped me later in the race just feel. In that last 4 miles of that run, I was suffering so much. The film crew was, you know, I'm trying to be lighthearted with the film crew, and I just wanted to say to them, hey, leave me alone, let me suffer in silence. And right at that moment, I look up and I see the finish line, because I'm almost done this race. In my mind, I'm like, just keep pushing. You only have a couple miles to go and one more swim. And then I look up and I see the finish line. It's way up by this tower on top of the hill. And I'm like, oh God, I still got to go all the way up there. And I got completely deflated. But when that happens, when you hit one of those patches, you just got to focus on the moment. And I just get, all right, just focus on your cadence. Just keep going, T.O. You know, you're enjoying, this is for enjoyment. So don't get too stressed. And I kept going. I finished that last swim. Getting out of that last swim, I couldn't run. I was actually just shuffling. My legs were just cramped. And it was about a K straight up a hill to that tower. And that's kind of a fun part of the course, because everybody's there. There's a gorgeous resort called the Mohonk right there. Next time I go to New Paltz, I'm just gonna go to the Mohonk and chill with the fam. Because I've already done this experience. But really amazing vibes at the Mohonk, even though I knew I had to go run a K straight up a hill. It was more like hiking, to be honest. And at that point, trying to go fast. I was surviving, no pun intended, just to get to the finish line. And came up, my parents were there greeting me, and I broke the finish line tape as a 2024 S.O.S champion. So that was a lot of fun. I guess I was a favorite, so I felt a little bad, kind of going into a non-pro race, but you know what? It was a bucket list race, so sorry to the rest of the podium. Yeah, mentally when things were getting hard in that race, it was much different than when I was out doing an Ironman. Mainly because, like in an Ironman where I was really prepared, I was in the hurt locker because I was pushing myself to a new limit, which in some ways gives you that motivation to keep on doing that because you are finding out things about yourself, right? You're bringing yourself to a new level, and that's amazing. So you can actually kind of draw a lot of strength on that when you're really hurting in a race because you're so fit and you're pushing it like you've never pushed before. This was a little different. This was, you're not that fit. You're out here for fun, and it's not fun right now, like, okay, like I'm ready for this race to be over. So that was a little different. And honestly, I did think that. I'm like, I want to get to the finish line now. Like, I've enjoyed this plenty. It's time to get to the finish line. But at the same time, I was thinking back to my career and what I had done, and I'm like, man, it's really impressive, like what I had done in terms of, pushing the body, pushing limits, which all the guys at that level do. But it was this really weird introspective moment where I'm out here in this race, challenging myself in a new way, but also looking back and being able to appreciate what I had done in my career. So it was actually a really neat moment when I was suffering, because I was getting through it, but there was another level to it. So you learn, when you put yourself in new experiences, you're going to learn new things about yourself. And that's what I did at S.O.S.
Would you consider this your victory lap race?
Victory lap race, 100%, yeah. This one was for me, and just got to get out there. My parents were there, which was great, and I got to go full circle, really. Started racing, and when I was living in Pennsylvania, not too far from New Paltz, and Mid-Atlantic was my racing jam, and there I was at, honestly, definitely the most iconic race in that area, but one of the most iconic races in the country. And there I was, kind of going full circle. So it really was a special day for me, and I'm so appreciative to the Davis family who created the race and still runs the race. Don Davis is a legend of the sport, so my heart goes out to them. Very appreciative for them bringing me out there and letting me be part of that experience. So S.O.S stands for Survival of the Shawangunks, and the locals tell me there's one spot on the run course where you have your Shawangunk moment, and it's on top of this ridge. Insane view, looking down on a beautiful valley, and they reminded me, like, hey Tim, make sure you take a moment there because it's worth it, right? And I'm in the race, I'm having my Shawangunk moment. I'm looking out from the top of this ridge over this beautiful valley, and simultaneously I'm looking down at my career and what I've done from that perspective, and yeah, I mean, damn it, Baylor.
Oh, that's great, man.
I mean, I never thought I'd be a professional triathlete. I never thought I'd, be on the podium at Kona, and here I am 20 years later. I've done so much, it's easy to forget. You're always looking forward, right? You're not the high school football player that's just, talking about that touchdown he scored, You're always looking forward because you want to improve, you want to be a better version of yourself. And I spent my whole career doing that. Not to mention, I married one of the best triathletes ever in the sport. So, you're always getting compared, and sometimes you forget the stuff that you've done and where you've come from. And I went from the worst athlete in my family to being one of the best triathletes out there. So it's something that as I was having my moment, I thought about, and I looked down, and I'm really proud. You know, I'm proud of everything I've done, and yeah, sure, I came short plenty times. You know, obviously never won Kona, but it wasn't for lack of trying, right? The man in the arena. Everything in life is a bonus right now for me, you know, after everything I've went through with my heart. Every finish line that I've crossed since then has been a bonus. Getting back to the Ironman World Championships, you know, winning one more 70.3. It's all been icing on the cake. It's been amazing that I've been able to share that with my kids, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't take it for granted. Everything that I've been able to do and come back from, I don't take it for granted. And you know, I hope it helps other people remember that they can do the same thing. You know, there's nothing special about me that let me keep going. It was just, you know, the desire to move forward, you know, the willingness to push through. What's next? I am super out of shape, everyone. I have not trained much since S.O.S. And no racing plans right now. I do plan on doing an Xterra next year with some friends. So I think that's gonna be my thing. You know, find a really fun Xterra event and just have a blast and some friendly competition and give myself something to train towards. I've noticed that day-to-day life is better when you have a goal and you have some structure around training. I've been missing that the last couple weeks, but that's all right. You know, everything in, you know, small little chunks is okay. But the fact that I know that, hey, this is how my life is going to be the best. I'm going to live my best quality life and be the most productive is when I have, you know, some sort of side physical fitness goal that I want to achieve. So yeah, I look forward to figuring that out for 2025 and sharing it with everybody too. All right, so I want to know if you have any bucket list races that you have planned or you want to do. Leave it in the comments and let me know. Heck, I might join you because I'm looking for one more race to do. And I hope you like this recap of S.O.S. If you haven't done it, try to sign up. It's really hard to get into, but it is a must. So get out there, go do S.O.S, and you won't regret it.